Hello guys and welcome to another Tokyo Revengers video. And in this video, I will be talking about the newest episode of Tokyo Revengers. And this video will be an anime review for episode 27 of Tokyo Revengers, and this is the third episode of the second season. And this episode covers chapters 80, 81, 82, and 83 of the Tokyo Revengers manga. And this episode is the third episode of the Black Dragons arc. In this video series, I will also be comparing the anime to the manga, and I will analyze these episodes to see if there were any scenes that were removed from the source material. And this episode was a very important episode for Takemichi and Chifuyu, and this episode will show us one of the most important moments of their relationship. But before I start this video, I wanted to talk about a minor change that was made to the manga, and the change that I am talking about is the buttons on Taiju Shiba's uniform. And in the manga, we saw that these buttons were colored golden, however in the anime they were colored gray. And in this adaptation they also changed Taiju's hair color, because in the manga we saw that Taiju also has some white strands of hair, however we saw that this was removed from the manga. And the anime also removed Taiju Shiba's tattoos, and this censorship decision was made by Disney, and I really hate this company. Anyway guys, before I get into this video guys, please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more Tokyo Revengers videos. So let's get into the video now. So this episode begins with showing us the continuation of chapter 80, and we see that Taiju was ordering Hakai to kill Takemichi. And in this moment we also got to see the reaction of Yuzuha and Hinata, and they both looked like they were extremely worried. And we also got to see the reaction of Hakai, and he looked like he was very frightened. And then in the next scene Taiju walked right up to Hakai, and Taiju got up in front of Hakai's face. And then the anime added this scene where Taiju was repeating himself, and he was ordering Hakai to kill Takemichi. And then Taiju told Hakai that he must take responsibility since he is a member of Toman. And Hakai tried to reason with Taiju, and he tried to tell Taiju that Takemichi didn't know that this was the territory of the Black Dragons. However Taiju told Hakai that he doesn't give a shit about that, and he also asked Hakai if he heard his orders. And then Taiju told Hakai that their sibling relationship comes before his membership to Toman, and he also said that Hakai has to obey his commands. And then Taiju just said, family bonds are more important than bonds with friends, am I right? And in this moment we saw that Yuzuha suddenly started approaching Taiju, and she told Taiju not to threaten Hakai. However Taiju responded to this by punching Yuzuha in the face, and then Taiju said that everything is Yuzuha's fault, and he said that the reason why it is her fault is because she didn't raise Hakai correctly. And then Taiju told Yuzuha that he is going to have to teach her a lesson later. And in the next scene we see that Takemichi tried to protect Yuzuha, and in this moment Takemichi told Taiju that even if they are siblings Yuzuha is still a girl, and then he asked Taiju if he also attacks women. However Taiju just responded to this by telling Takemichi to stay out of their family's business. And then Taiju told Hakai that his big brother is going to fix his problem for him, and Taiju also said that this is what family is all about. And then in the next part of this episode we saw that Taiju decided to start ruthlessly beating Takemichi to a bloody pulp. And in the next scene the anime actually made a small change to the manga, and the reason why I say this is because they removed a scene from the manga. And in this scene Yuzuha was stopping Hinata from going in front of Taiju, and Yuzuha was holding her back. However in the anime Hinata actually jumped in front of Taiju, and Yuzuha never held her back. And in this scene Yuzuha was telling Hinata to get away from Taiju. However Hinata just responded by saying that she can't just sit back and watch, and she also said that Takemichi is going to die. And then Hinata started crying. And in this next scene the anime also added a scene that was never in the manga, and in this scene Taiju was getting ready to punch Hinata, however at the last second Takemichi jumped in front of the punch in order to protect Hinata, and this attack sent Takemichi flying to the ground. And then Taiju decided to grab Takemichi by the collar, and Taiju was just holding Takemichi up into the air. And in this moment Hakai suddenly stepped in, and he started begging Taiju to stop. However Taiju just kept repeatedly punching Takemichi, and Taiju said that Hakai needs to give him something in exchange for this favor. And then Taiju raised his fist into the air, and he told Hakai that he will kill Takemichi if he doesn't offer him something that is of equal value. And we saw that Hakai responded to this by saying that he will leave Toman. And he also said that he will join the Black Dragon's gang so that he can support Taiju. And then Hakai said that in exchange for him joining the Black Dragons, Taiju has to let Takemichi go. And in this moment the anime also added a scene where we got to see the reactions of Koko and Inupi, and this scene was never in the manga. And then Taiju exclaimed to himself, and in this moment Taiju was just staring at Hakai. And then we saw that Taiju decided to drop Takemichi's body on the floor. And then in the next scene Taiju just started smiling to himself. And then we see that the anime added a scene that was never in the manga, and in this scene we got to see the reactions of both Yuzuha and Hinata. And then the next stage of this episode switches to some time later, and Hakai was carrying Takemichi on his back. And when Takemichi regained consciousness, we saw that Hinata and Hakai were both very relieved to see that he was okay. And in the next part of the episode the anime added a scene where Hinata fell down to her knees, and I thought that this edition did a great job of showing us that Hinata was very worried about Takemichi. And in this moment we saw that Hinata started breaking down into tears at the same exact time. And Hinata just said, "Thank goodness," and she also said that she was so worried. And I thought that Hinata looked very cute during this crying scene, and I also thought that the animation team did a great job of animating this small moment. And Takemichi suddenly remembered that he got beaten up by Taiju, and then Takemichi apologized to Hakai for making him leave Toman, and Takemichi thought that everything was his fault. However, Hakai just responded by saying that it is actually not his fault. And then Hakai said thank you to Takemichi for sticking up for Yuzuha. And Hakai said that he thinks that Takemichi is surprised that his brother is the leader of the Black Dragons, and then Hakai went on to tell Takemichi that there is something that he needs to do in the Black Dragons gang. And while he was saying this we saw that Hakai had a very determined look on his face. And in this moment Takemichi suddenly remembered that Kazutora told him that Hakai became the leader of the Black Dragons by killing his older brother for money, and this memory made Takemichi think to himself that Hakai actually means that he is going to kill Taiju, and in this moment Takemichi was very shocked. Anyway guys, this is where chapter 80 ends, and chapter 81 begins with Takemichi laying in his bed, and he is just remembering his encounter with the Black Dragons gang. And Takemichi was wondering to himself if he should stop Hakai from killing Taiju. And then Takemichi told himself that he has to fix all of these problems, and he also said that he has to do everything all by himself. And then we see that the Mizo Middle School 5 members suddenly asked Takemichi what he is mumbling about. And we see that Takuya farted, and Yamagishi called Takemichi creepy. And in this moment Takemichi became very surprised when he learned that they had become members of Toman, and then Takemichi got up out of his bed. And then Chifuyu started speaking to Takemichi, and Chifuyu told him that he is the person who invited them to become members of Toman, and then he asked Takemichi why he is so silent. And in this moment the anime added a scene that was never in the manga, and in this scene I really loved seeing that Takemichi started crying after seeing that Chifuyu was alive. And Chifuyu said that the Black Dragons are a lot stronger than any other gang that Toman has faced, and Chifuyu also said that this gang is famous because of a faction called the Murder Squad. And then Chifuyu goes on to say that the Black Dragons have ruled the Kanto region of Japan for generations, however the 10th generation is the most evil and maniacal generation that has ever existed. And the reason why they are so maniacal is because of their leader, Taiju Shiba. And Chifuyu also said that the Black Dragons are actually the reason why Toman was created, and this is because Toman was originally created to protect Kazutora from the Black Dragons gang. And in the next scene Chifuyu said that Toman eventually defeated the Black Dragons gang, and this resulted in Toman becoming extremely famous. However, Chifuyu said that the 10th generation is way stronger than the 9th generation, and he also said that this fight is going to be extremely difficult. And in this moment we learned that the Black Dragons should have faded out, however Taiju Shiba was actually able to revive the gang. The Black Dragons completely changed under Taiju, they got their uniforms totally redone, and Taiju trained his members to act like an army. And Taiju was able to make the 10th generation into an impressive looking gang. And unlike regular delinquents, Taiju sells his violence, and he also has connections with many wealthy people. And Taiju makes his money by offering these wealthy people his military force in exchange for cash. And when these wealthy people are in trouble, Taiju mobilizes his military force, and the gang gets tons of cash as a reward. And this money is how Taiju was able to get new uniforms for his gang, and this is also how he was able to revamp the entire look of his organization. And Chifuyu said that there will definitely be casualties if Toman goes to war with the Black Dragons. However, Takemichi said that this problem has nothing to do with Toman, and he also said that he will settle everything by himself. And in the next scene, Chifuyu told Takemichi to come outside with him. And then we see that Takemichi and Chifuyu left the house, and they started riding on Chifuyu's motorcycle. And in the next scene we saw that Chifuyu parked his motorcycle. And Chifuyu told Takemichi that Baji gave him this motorcycle, and he also said that it's a really nice bike. And then Takemichi said, "I know that you want to tell me that my friends are here for me." However, Chifuyu just started laughing, and he said that he didn't bring him out here to say that. And then Chifuyu started smiling at Takemichi, and Chifuyu told him that he should just have fun with this. And in this scene I thought that the bubble blur effect made a very good background for this moment. And Chifuyu went on to say that Baji didn't leave him with Toman because he wanted to stress him out. And Chifuyu said that Baji would be very mad at him right now, and he also said that Baji would tell him to cheer up. And in this moment we saw that Takemichi was very touched by Chifuyu's support, and he thought to himself that he isn't alone. And in this moment Takemichi started crying. Anyway guys, this is where chapter 81 ends, and chapter 82 begins with Takemichi telling Chifuyu that he is a time leaper. And Chifuyu just responded to this by asking Takemichi what he is talking about. And then Takemichi told Chifuyu about every single time that he has traveled back in time, and he told Chifuyu about everything that has happened. And after hearing about his death, Chifuyu was shocked by this information, and he just said, "So I'm gonna get killed by Kisaki." However, Takemichi tried to say that everything was a joke, and he said that he was just kidding. But Chifuyu just responded by saying that somehow he has always known, and he said that there are times when Takemichi has acted completely different. And Chifuyu also remembered that Takemichi told Baji not to die before the Valhalla battle, and this convinced Chifuyu that Takemichi was telling the truth. And Chifuyu said that he knew that Baji was going to die, so it makes sense that he was so desperate to save him. And Takemichi just said that he knew Baji was going to die, but he still couldn't save him. And Chifuyu thought that Takemichi is amazing, and he said this because Takemichi has been fighting all by himself without anyone to thank him. And Chifuyu told Takemichi to be proud of himself, and he said that the results don't matter. And in this moment we can tell that Chifuyu has gained a newfound respect for Takemichi, and this episode shows us that these two characters are becoming a lot closer together. And Takemichi asked him if he actually believes his story even though it sounds very crazy. And then Chifuyu called Takemichi a dumbass, and he said that of course he believes him. And then Chifuyu smiled at Takemichi, and he told him that they are partners after all. And when he heard this response, we saw that Takemichi became very emotional, and then he started crying. And Takemichi was thinking to himself that he was very glad that he told Chifuyu. And in the next scene Chifuyu is eating noodles with Takemichi, and he is saying that he wants to murder Kisaki. However, he says that he can't do it right now because Kisaki currently has over 100 subordinates under his command, and he also secretly controls the 6th division. And then Chifuyu said that he is very excited. And then Chifuyu got out of his chair, and he reached out his hand to Takemichi. And then he told Takemichi that he is going to turn the 1st division into an unbeatable team. And Chifuyu declared that they will destroy the Black Dragons and Kisaki, and he also said that he has Takemichi's back all the way. And Chifuyu said that this is his answer since Takemichi told him about everything. And then Chifuyu smiled at Takemichi, and he told him that they will make this work together. And in his mind, Takemichi said thank you to Chifuyu, and then Takemichi shook hands with Chifuyu. And then Takemichi just said, "Let's do this, partner." And while he was saying this he had a big smile on his face. And then the chapter switches to 2 days later, and we get to see a Toman meeting. And we see that all of the captains are attending this meeting, and they are discussing the Black Dragons gang. And in this moment Smiley was saying that he can't believe that Hakai is actually the little brother of the leader of the Black Dragons. And Yasuhiro Muto started asking Mitsuya if he already knew about this. And then we see that Hanma said that the Black Dragons are such a pain in the ass, and while he was saying this he was smiling at the same exact time. And then Kisaki responded to this by saying that there is no way to avoid this confrontation. And then we get to see a scene of Draken, and Draken says that it looks like all the captains are here. And at the end of this chapter we see Mikey, and Mikey is telling Takemichi and Hakai to enter the meeting. And this chapter ends with showing us this scene of Takemichi and Hakai, and they have very serious looks on their faces. Anyway guys, this is where chapter 82 ends, and chapter 83 begins with showing us Draken, and Draken is telling everyone that Takemichi recently just got beaten up by the leader of the Black Dragons gang. And then Draken said that this is officially a declaration of war. And then Smiley said that they are cocky bastards, and he also said that they should destroy their gang. And Yasuhiro Muto said that they already crushed them once before, so it won't be a problem to do it again. However, Mitsuya replied by saying that they crushed the 9th generation, and he explains that the 10th generation are on a completely different level. And Smiley said that it wasn't Takemichi's fault for not knowing about the Black Dragon's territory, and then Smiley asked Hakai why he would take Takemichi there. And in the manga we saw that Yasuhiro Muto got in front of Hakai's face to ask him if he is a spy for the Black Dragons. However, in the anime they just made Muto stand behind Hakai, and I thought that this was a really weird change. And then Smiley said that Hakai is their leader's little brother. And Muto said that Hakai was purposely hiding this information from the Toman members. And in this moment we saw that Takemichi tried to defend Hakai, however Muto immediately told him to shut up. And in the next scene we see that Hakai suddenly got on his knees, and he said that he will not make any excuses, and he will accept any form of punishment. And then Hakai said that he is prepared for the consequences. And then Hakai just said, "So leader, I, vice captain of the 2nd division, Hakai Shiba, request permission to leave Toman." And in this moment Mikey asked if there are any objections. And in this scene we get to see the reaction of all the Toman captains, and we also get to see a close-up shot of their faces. And in this moment Takemichi suddenly told Mikey that he has an objection. And in the next scene we get to see this very funny moment where Takemichi used Chifuyu's plan, and in this plan he gave Mikey his favorite food in an attempt to bribe him. However, Mikey reacted to this by getting very angry at Takemichi, and he told Takemichi that he doesn't want this food, and he also told Takemichi not to interrupt. And then Draken called Takemichi a jackass, and Draken asked him if he thinks this is funny. And I thought that this scene did a great job of bringing the humor out of Tokyo Revengers, and this moment really lightened up the mood of this episode. And then we saw that Draken asked Mikey what his final decision is. And Mikey responded to this by saying that he will let Mitsuya decide. And in this moment Mitsuya started to stand up, and then he walked up to Hakai. And Hakai told Mitsuya that he is very sorry, and he said that he has already made up his mind. However, Mitsuya just responded to this by telling Hakai not to look so sad, and Mitsuya said that he understands. And in this scene Hakai started bowing down to Mitsuya, and then he said that it was a great pleasure to work with him. However, Mitsuya just responded to this by asking him what he is talking about, and then Mitsuya told Hakai that he never said that he could leave. And in this moment we see the reaction of Takemichi, and he had a very surprised look on his face. Anyway guys, this is where the episode ends, and this is the end of this video. Anyway guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, and want to see more like it, then like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.